And 18 years later, I had no idea where he was. My parents had no idea where his parents were because everybody moved, during that 18 years. And, I knew that he would never forget the incredible relationship God created between us, meeting in these inconceivable places. And we had just shared so many formative years, but we had no idea where to find each other. And at that time I was living in India, and I had a very dear friend named Father Bede Griffiths, who was a Catholic monk who deeply appreciated the Hindu faith. He wrote a book called The River of Compassion, which is a Christian commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, which is completely, positive and appreciative. And he was a very, very special holy man, and we had a very beautiful friendship. And we met in India once, and he told me that summer he was going to be in Big Sur in California at a Benedictine monastery, and he wanted to know if I could come up and give a seminar and speak to the monks there. And I told him, actually, for part of the summer I'll be in Los Angeles, so I planned to drive up there to meet him. So I met a friend who had a car who was going to drive me from Los Angeles to Big Sur, and I was supposed to give a class the next morning at 6 o'clock on the Ishopanishad to the monks. So I was told, you have to get to Big Sur before dark, because there's no lights in the roads, and there's steep mountains, and it's very dangerous to drive at night. So we left, and we were on our way, and my friend stopped at a Union 76 petrol station to fill up with gasoline. And while he was filling up, I went to a payphone and made a collect call to New York to talk to somebody. And as I hung up the phone book was open. And I just happened to see at the top of it was LIS. Now Gary's last name is LISS. So I was curious. I was thinking, this can't be, but maybe it can also. So I looked down the page, and there it said Gary Liss, and it had the address on Malibu Road in Malibu, California. And interestingly, and I'm telling you the honest truth, this phone booth was right under a street sign that said Malibu Road. And I looked across the street a little down the block, and there was the address. But I was thinking, I don't even know if it's the same person. And if it is, I can't say, Gary, after 18 years, I have to go.
Right.
So I decided I wrote down the address, and I drove up to Big Sur, and then I had to take a flight from San Francisco back to India. And the next year, I borrowed someone's car and drove there. And when I got there, it was an empty lot. There was no house. So I was just walking around, and I saw a tennis court, and behind the tennis court was another house, and behind that was the Pacific Ocean. And someone came out of the house, and it was a very strong man with short hair, and he looked at me like, what are you doing here? And I looked at him like, I don't know what I'm doing here either. And he walked closer, and I recognized it was Gary. He recognized it was me. My long matted hair was now a shaved head. His long hair and beard was now short. His little skinny body was now very, very strong. And we connected.
Amazing.
And yeah, I remember Gary, he wondered what we had in common. And I said, let's talk about it. So we sat and talked all night. And it ended up that he was a physical trainer in Malibu Beach, California. And I was a Swami. And I remember at the end of our conversation, Gary said, how can we still be friends? My whole life is to convince people that if they have a strong, beautiful, healthy body, they'll be happy. And your whole life is trying to teach people that they're not a body, that they're an eternal soul. I said to Gary, I said, the body is a very sacred temple of God. The body is divine energy in the physical form. And you teach people how to keep their temple nice and fit, and I'll try to teach them what to do inside the temple. And we could be a team. And Rick, ever since then, we've been a team.
That's great. So have you been in touch with him ever since then?
We're regularly in touch.